Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with ChrisChamasiros. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well-rounded. What's going on around the world? If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's get started today. So Somalians, they stole $9 billion in Minnesota. Let that number sink in. $9 billion. And somehow, some way, Omar and all the Somalians in that community, they're the real victims. They stole $9 billion from American taxpayers. And somehow, because they're being investigated, that's white supremacy. Somehow we have to hear from Tampon Timmy, the pedophile. And that's what he is. He's a pedophile. Because what grown man do you know that wants to put tampons in the little boys' bathrooms other than pedophiles? He's a pedophile. Leave it to Omar and Tampon Timmy here to somehow white men commit crime. But forget about that 9 billion. We're the real victims. Hey, we just came into your country about, a couple of years ago. We're not thankful to be here. And I'll play that video in a minute. Omar says that white men and white people are the real problem. But when she was governed in her country by her people, she had to claim refugee status and come live here. Go figure. Are you really surprised anymore? But your country's just such a wonderful paradise, and it was run by your people that you had to become a refugee and come here and steal all of Americans' money to send it back to your homelands. And I don't want to hear President Trump anymore mention Omar's name, because President Trump, all he is all talk. He's a blowhard. I'm so sick of his bullshit. He'll mention Omar to get the base riled up. Should we deport her? Really? Every single person in America knows that Omar married her brother to come to America. She should be in the feds. She should be deported. Her income is $130,000. She's worth $30 million now. You don't think you can get her on something? You don't think you can indict Omar on something? Isn't the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich? Trump, do us all a favor. Don't even mention her name until you're giving a press conference saying you got her the F out of here and all the other criminals in Minnesota to go along with her. But hey, you know what? See, this is my problem with a lot of foreigners. They come here, they're offended by everything. They're offended by Christmas. They're offended by Christmas trees. They're offended by the white man. They're offended by everything. So why'd you come then? Why'd you come? If your country is so wonderful, what the F are you doing here? And the arrogance and the entitlement and the obnoxious, every time Omar talks, that roach absolutely makes me sick to my effing stomach. She hates the white man so much, but her husband or whatever looks white to me. Interesting, huh? It's always interesting with the AOCs and the Omars and the Kamala Harrises. They all go home and get into bed with a white man. But hey, I'm a racist for pointing that out. Let's hear Tampon Timmy talk. Tampon Timmy, he can't help himself. Pedophile. You just look at his mouth and you know that men's private parts have definitely entered his mouth on many occasions.
It's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable.
What a piece of shit. Isn't he just such a pathetic pile of shit? Isn't this me? Yeah. I don't know if his dad is alive. Probably not, because if you had a son like this piece of shit, he'd probably put you in the grave very early. But hey, he's just a pathetic pile of shit.
For the crimes that they have committed.
Yeah.
I think for the community to maybe
somehow Somalians stealing $9 billion is the white man's fault. Somehow, some way, it's always the white guy's fault. They stole there's people in jail right now in certain states because they stole over $1,000 and it's a felony. And we all know that Tampon Timmy is involved with it. We all know that Omar is involved with it. And what will Trump do? Trump will do fucking nothing, Trump. Trump is just a blowhard. Trump, it's all talk. That's all it is with Trump. The minute Trump got on TV and said there's not enough smart Americans or talented Americans to do manufacturing jobs, and that's why he has to bring in 250,000 Indians from overseas and another 200,000 Chinese from overseas and put them all in all the major universities. There's only so many spots in these big colleges, but hey, let's bring in a group of foreigners and give them the spots over American citizens. The minute Trump went on TV and said that, I am completely done with Trump. Trump can go to effing hell where he belongs. I could care less. I'm done with him. And J.D. Vance, you're not getting my vote. I can tell you that right now. Yous are both done. And this piece of shit and Omar, they not only they should have been indicted months and years ago, and Trump will do nothing. He didn't do anything to Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden for letting an invasion at the border. He has brought nobody to justice. His DOJ is pathetic. And what's going to happen when Democrats take control? It's going to be the same old story. And you know what? They're going to go after their political. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris weaponized our justice system. They same thing what Hussein Obama did. Trump gets into office, and to put an end to that, to make examples of people that do that. What does Trump do? Trump does nothing. Trump's worried about Israel. Trump's, fighting wars in foreign countries. I don't give a listen. I'm so tired of hearing, oh, Trump is making peace in Nigeria. All I ever see on social media from Nigerians is how their country is one of the strongest countries in the world and they have all these resources. You don't have a military to handle Islamic militants? Your country's so weak, you can't handle Islamic militants, small groups. It's not like you're in a big, huge war with another country. These are, groups of 100, 200, 300 people. So if your country is so, where's your infrastructure to handle it? Oh, we don't need an infrastructure. No, we'll just have America do it for us. We'll just use the American military to do everything. So Trump, once again, is policing the effing world. And we have Somalians stealing $9 billion in Minnesota. Now they're in Washington stealing. And where's that money going? Where's the money going? It's going to terrorist organizations around the world. And somehow, some way, you can't put them all on a terrorist watch list and get them the F out of here. Because let me guess, Trump, the 100 million people that voted for you wouldn't celebrate you getting rid of Omar and basically your whole community who has sent billions of dollars to terrorist organizations. No, he can't do nothing. Trump is full of shit, too.
Educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no.
This piece of shit always has an excuse for, he has an excuse for everybody except for white men and Americans, because he's a piece of shit. That's what he is.
Yeah, I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about it.
Dude, what a fucking man. I hate his guts. Tampon Tim, when you're no longer on earth and you meet God and you're in hell where you belong, it's going to be a great day. You imagine being this piece of shit's family and seeing him? What a piece of shit.
That I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And
yeah, white men commit all the crime. Well, you know what? You could walk into every prison in America and just when you walked in, you would kind of know that's not true. But hey, let's not talk about that narrative also.
Again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics,
Let's bring up white men again.
So I think it's really important for us to know.
He's obsessed with white men constantly. I wonder why, because that's probably who he's attracted to, just like the rest of the party that hates white men. But hey,
each community's got this in their own midst, but to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I think we continue to educate folks about why they shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and.
Oh, you got to educate people. Oh, let me guess. This is part of Somalian culture, right? You always hear that about Muslims. It's like, oh, that's part of their culture. That's part of their culture. Well, if that's part of their culture, maybe they shouldn't be welcomed into America or Europe. Since that's your culture, you hear the excuse all the time. Oh, that's their culture. Well, maybe you shouldn't let people like that in your country if that's their culture.
At schools and in our society.
But hey, we don't want to hurt their feelings, but the 6-year-old girl, her feelings don't matter.
But no, I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, again, don't.
Oh, because none of the entire Somalian community knows exactly what's going on. They all know what's going on. So anybody that says different is a lying piece of you-know-what. So now they're all innocent, right, Tampon Tim? They're just happy to assimilate into American traditions. Is that why you changed the Minnesota flag into the Somalian flag? I'm going to head to Minnesota one year before Christmas, and I'm going to plant Christmas trees all over the place so I can welcome the Somalian community into American culture.
I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here, all this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very dangerous.
Hey, Tim, drop dead. Do us all a favor, for real. Piece of shit. Your family you're a disgrace to your father's name. That's what you are. You're a piece of shit. So can't say it wish I could say it a different way, but I can't. And that's what he is. So no big deal. They're all driving around in luxury cars, Lexuses, buying new houses, gold chains, big watches. But hey, you know what? White Americans are the problem. All those white Americans paying for their free stuff, but you're really the problem. Let's look at the mayor of Minnesota. See, this is why they think that all white men are like weak and have no testosterone. This is what they're used to dealing with. This is the same idiot that was eating Somalian food and puked in his own mouth. And he's like, yeah, man, yeah. It just, hey, nope, you can think what you want, but keep biting. Eventually you're going to bite off more than you could chew. So look at this piece of shit. Right, you're cool, dude. This is the type of cuckold that lets them borrow his wife, too. Yeah, whatever, dude. Wow, I'm sure your parents are proud, too. Whatever. Keep up the great work. Minnesota's they're in great shape. IIhan Omar, she keeps antagonizing Trump, and Trump doesn't do a effing thing. Let me tell you, if I'm president of the United States, you antagonize me, IIhan Omar, you'd be in Gitmo. You would be in Gitmo, I assure you. One threat, one mock, you'd be in Gitmo when I was president. You'd be on the terrorist watch list. You'd be getting waterboarded by morning, and you'd just be done. So put me to the test. Put me to the test. Trump, he's a blowhard. He's all talk. Trump ain't doing shit. Trump uses IIhan Omar's name to get his bait. He needs her because he doesn't keep any of his promises. So he needs IIhan Omar. I don't need her at all. So she'd never even open her mouth to me. I assure you that if I was president, she'd keep her mouth shut. They all would. Here, look, another white male hater as she goes home and gets in bed with one.
I would say.
Here, look, let's listen to the Roach. It's always okay for her to be openly racist. No big deal. But I'm the racist, right?
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
You want to know why Nick Fuentes is so popular? You want to know why Nick Fuentes has an army of 15 million? It's because of roaches like this that get to say whatever they want about young white men and the liberal party, basically tell them to cut their dicks off and everything else. Roaches like this are the reason why Nick Fuentes has an army of 10 million. So, hey, the white men that you hate so much, your country was ran by your own people, but you had to claim refugee status. She's such a tough girl. But when she had a chance to fight for her land, what did she do like the rest of the cowards? They all claim refugee status. They all come here. 85% of their community gets welfare and will get it for life. Fraud, you name it. But hey, white people are the problem. Right, Tampon Timmy? A former Somali prime minister speaking in Minnesota just said the quiet part out loud about IIhan Omar. The interests of IIhan are not Minnesota, not the American people. Her interests are Somalian and the Somalian people. And the crowd goes crazy. See, and President Trump, he has the House and the Senate. And you know what he could do? President Trump can pass a law that no foreign-born person can hold any office in the United States of America. You shouldn't even be allowed to be on the school board. If you're not American-born, you can't be in the Senate, the House, Congress. You can't be a mayor. You're lucky enough to be here. You should be grateful. You shouldn't be allowed to run for office.
قضية إلهان معها قضية إلهان معها قضية مينيسوتا معها قضية غير مريكان قضية إلهان وقضية صوماليا.
So tough. Aren't they all so tough? Right? They're only tough because they're backed by liberals and the media. So anybody that calls them, they think that, we'll just go around and call everybody racist and everybody will back down from us. because they're used to dealing with like the shithead mayor that, you know, puked in his mouth eating Somalian food. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But don't worry, there's a whole flip side to that coin there, pal. Yeah, okay, tough guy. Look at this. Look at the guy.
قضية IIhan معها قضية IIhan معها قضية مينيسوتا معها قضية غير مريكان قضية IIhan وقضية Somalian.
Yeah, they look real grateful to be in America. Let's invite a couple million more in, right? And anybody who disagrees is just racist. No, anybody who disagrees, you're just not paying attention. So let's look at the Mall of America, filled with young Somalians, you know. Shouldn't have to pay for anything. It's all free. It's all free. Anybody that disagrees, you're a racist.
So what? You've been a problem.
Like, who do they all think they are? You think you run stuff? You think you run shit here? Trump the other day, he wants a pat on the back because crime is lowered. We don't live in a third world country. We shouldn't have high crime. You see all the taxes we pay? You don't get a pat on the back because crime is down. Really, Trump? You want a pat on the back because the crime is down? You don't get a pat on the back with that, with all the taxes we pay. This isn't a third world country. So you don't get a pat on the back for low crime rates. That's the way it's supposed to be. You don't get a pat on the back for having a border because that's the way it's supposed to be. You don't get a pat on the back because you say, well, we're only going to deport. If you're here illegally, you're a criminal. You don't need to rob a 7-Eleven, Trump. So you're not getting extra pats on the back from me. I can tell you that right now.
Everybody, no. Don't know. Starting.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Can't just get your shit and get out. It's too much to ask for. You can't just buy what you got to buy and leave. Nope. That would mean you just have to act normal and you'd have to act civilized. But obviously that's not what's going on here. And somehow, some way, this is the white man's fault. This is, according to Tampon Timmy and the cockroach IIhan Omar, this is white people's fault, this type of behavior. Walk around in the mall in packs, causing trouble, looking to rob people. Yeah. Coming to a community near you. But don't worry, every community is now, I can guarantee you one thing. And not every community is going to put up with it. I see these videos of Muslims going up to like older white people in churches. I've seen it in Rome. I've seen it in Italy. And they go up to the old people sitting there and they threaten them. They say all types of things like they want to, you know what, to them. Let me tell you something. If that was ever my mother or anybody in my family, you're a corpse. You could take it how you want it. You could take it exactly how you want it. So be careful who you run up on. Be careful who you threaten like that, because we're not all the mayor of Minnesota, I assure you. Yeah, look at that. Wonderful. Look at this. Diversity, our greatest strength. Isn't that what all the Democrats and liberals tell you? See, I'm for Americans. Regardless of I'm for Americans, not foreigners, not people that come here and have no respect for our laws, our country, our customs. I'm for America and Americans, not this shit. So that's exactly what it is. Garbage and shit. But hey, you know what? According to Tampon Timmy and IIhan Omar, all this is white men's fault. So you think any normal, hardworking Americans are going to go to that mall anymore? Why would you risk your life going to a mall with a bunch of Somalian pirates who think that the laws of this country don't apply to them? They start them young. This is stolen land. No, this is conquered land. Learn history. I know this is the propaganda that your parents teach you. It's stolen land that don't belong to them, so we could do whatever we want to do. No, it's conquered land. Get it right. Learn history. I know it's tough, but hey.
Support everyone, and because like people deserve to be here because we shouldn't be illegal when this is literally like stolen land.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Start them young, huh? Start the propaganda young. You think you're going to insult my grandfather and his father and my grandmother who came here and contributed to this country and served in the military and created things? You're just going to come here and spit in all our faces and we're just going to all be quiet because we're scared to be called racist? You have another thing coming. It's getting old and it's coming to an end and we're all tired of it and we don't care anymore about the name calling. So it's whatever. So now Tampon Timmy, he calls the fraud investigation white supremacy. So Somalians are allowed to steal $9 billion of taxpayers' money. And when you're pissed off about it because you got to work 3 jobs to pay your bills because President Trump doesn't keep his promises, it's white supremacy. So let's let this pedophile talk.
What happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy.
So it sounds to me, Nick, that Governor Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you know, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over and they're inside of these towns like Minneapolis where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset. And I fully understand why they're upset because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Nick, your video's been viewed 93 million times. What do you think will be the result of this? Do you think that things will change because of bringing attention to this, or do you think it'll be much the same, swept under the rug and keep moving forward?
Yeah, there better be change. People are demanding it. The investigations have been launched just from that video alone. And so there better be change because, like I said, we work way too hard to be paying taxes. We work way too hard to be not knowing where our money's going. And at the end of the day, people in the government, they work for us. We don't work for them. And so it's their responsibility to hold these people accountable. And so if there's not something that's happened, people are going to be very frustrated. And so if President Trump's watching this, it's time to really get down to nitty gritty and to make a difference in this place of Minnesota that is pretty much like Somaliland right now.
Well, I got bad news for you, Nathan. I want to salute you. You're a brave young man, and I love your work. You're doing a great job. At least you care, unlike President Trump and the rest of the DOJ and the media in this country, which is an absolute disgrace. And, you know, I'm putting this all on Trump because Trump can do something about it, but he chooses not to. You know, it's all talk with Trump. That's all Trump does is talk, talk, talk. And you see where I'm going. United States of America is in bad shape right now. We are trillions of dollars in debt, yet we are giving billions of dollars away to foreign countries. And now not only are we giving billions of dollars away to foreign countries, we're bringing in foreigners to our country to steal billions of dollars so they can send it to terrorist networks. And guess what? If you're tired of it and you're fed up, you're a white supremacist. I wouldn't expect anything different. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros.